Good evening. It was one of the key issues during the Uxbridge and South Ruislip by-election. But will ULEZ dominate the general election campaign there too? When the Tories took the seat vacated by Boris Johnson last year, you may remember it turned into a bit of a de facto referendum on Sadiq Khan's plans to extend the ultra-low emission zone. Today, ITV News has seen evidence that cameras in the area are still being vandalised, almost 1 year since the scheme was expanded. From Uxbridge, here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
It wasn't snowing in West London, just the latest expression of anti-ULEZ sentiment. Across Uxbridge, cameras have been sprayed with paint to try to frustrate the enforcement of fines. At her car workshop, Randeep has plenty of customers who were infuriated at having to buy new cars or pay a daily fee, but has detected a change in the mood. Do you think most people have accepted it?
I think they're beginning to accept that that's the way it's going to be, and we understand that we've got to take measures to help with air pollution.
13,965.
Last July, Steve Tuckwell was the surprise winner in the Uxbridge by-election following Boris Johnson's decision to step down as MP. And he's clearly hoping for anti-ULEZ votes this time.
People are incredibly frustrated and angry about the fact that the Mayor of London ignored the residents of Uxbridge and South Ruislip who continue to impose ULEZ on them, which we know is devastating households and continuing to devastate businesses.
Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves.
On Saturday, Labour's candidate in Uxbridge, Danny Beales, helped unveil the party's battle bus. After losing last time, he doesn't want to be seen to play down the effect of ULEZ on voters. How much is ULEZ an issue in this election?
It certainly still comes up. I think people are frustrated who've been affected. About less than 1 in 10 are affected.
But the Liberal Democrats candidate thinks ULEZ is not at the front of voters' minds in this election.
It's not something that the local MP has any say over whatsoever. So Steve Tuckwell ran his campaign on ULEZ and stopping it, and it still came in.
Hillingdon Hospital, however, is something all three main parties want to talk about. Hillingdon was one of 40 included in Boris Johnson's flagship hospital rebuilding programme announced in 2019. But almost 5 years on, it's still not clear when the project will begin. Labour claims the government hasn't allocated the money. The Conservatives say that's not true.
At the moment, the hospital doesn't have the funding it needs to start building, so it's still in a terrible state.
The funding is there, the planning permission is there, the enabling works have started.
It has been allowed to fall apart. It's become chronically underfunded in terms of maintenance work. Some of the buildings are no longer safe.
Historically, Uxbridge and South Ruislip has been a safe Tory seat, but it's now one of Labour's top 6 targets in London. Simon Harris, ITV News, Uxbridge.
Diane Abbott was formally backed by Labour's executive committee today as the party's candidate in Hackney North and Stoke Newington. A row over her position had dominated the early stages of the election campaign. But the ruling comes too late for some, including 7 councillors in Slough. They've quit the party over the way the case was handled, as well as the treatment of long-serving Labour member Faiza Shaheen. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
For more than a week, Diane Abbott's political future has overshadowed Labour's election campaign. Was she about to be blocked from standing? Would she be offered a peerage, or would she run as an independent? Today she was given the final green light to stand again as a Labour candidate, although Labour's leader admitted the two haven't spoken since the row became public.
I've spoken to Diane 2 or 3 months ago. My team have obviously been speaking to her, but that decision is taken, that's clear.
Abbott's name appeared on a list of candidates approved by Labour's National Executive Committee. If Labour thought today's final list of candidates would draw a line under the rows of the last week, a group of its councillors here in Slough had other ideas. 7 of them resigned, along with dozens of other local party members. ITV News understands some of the councillors were at the centre of an internal Labour Party investigation into allegations of bullying and anti-Semitism. The councillors told us it was news to them, claiming their resignations were in protest at the way Labour has ditched or attempted to ditch some candidates.
The recent treatment of Diane Abbott, what's happened, how she's been trying to get purged out of the party, the lefty's been pushed out of the party at the moment, what's happened with Faiza Shaheen, how she was a MP candidate and next minute she was removed.
Are you famous?
Faiza Shaheen was dropped as Labour's candidate in Chingford and Woodford Green last week after liking and reposting tweets, including one which mocked Israeli and Palestinian hardliners. Today, she tweeted on X, "I've resigned from the Labour Party." She said she would announce her next steps tomorrow, prompting speculation she may stand as an independent. Simon Harris, ITV News.
Next tonight, he held the seat of Islington North for more than 40 years, but it could all be changed at the upcoming election as Jeremy Corbyn stands as an independent candidate. Expelled from Labour over comments on anti-Semitism, he'll stand against the party he led at the last election. But can he rely on the loyalty of voters to back him over Labour? Our political correspondent Simon Harris has been in Islington North to hear what the candidates have to offer.
Echoes of Glastonbury outside Islington Town Hall. Jeremy Corbyn was greeted by singing supporters after handing in his nomination papers. He's standing as an independent in Islington North after being barred by Labour for refusing to accept the findings of a report into anti-Semitism during his time as party leader. Do you feel guilty standing against Labour?
No, I don't. I don't feel guilty at all. I did everything I could to remain as a Labour candidate. That option was closed by the party, in which they imposed a candidate on the constituency, and I was told I wasn't even allowed to offer my name forward.
If you are a patient who has either been rejected by the NHS for fertility treatment...
This is Praful Nargand, the Labour candidate, in a video promoting his family's IVF business. Taking on Corbyn might be a poison chalice, but he's not keen to discuss his opponent. Do you accept that Jeremy Corbyn has a huge personal vote here?
We're talking to thousands of people, and what they are telling us is they want to see change, and the only way to get that change is to vote Labour. A Labour MP is best placed to work with a Labour government to fix our NHS, to get the cost of living down, to finally solve Islington North's housing crisis.
Jeremy Bernard Corbyn, Labour Party, 34,603.
At the last election, Corbyn won Islington North for Labour with a majority of more than 26,000. Islington North is typical inner-city London. There are areas of deprivation, including pockets of extreme poverty, but also wealth. There are streets here in Highbury where houses sell for millions of pounds. Karen Harris, an insurance broker and mother of two, is the Conservative candidate. At the last election, the Tories were in third place.
I'm an all-weather Conservative. I believe in Conservative values, and there's thousands of Conservative votes here in Islington North, and I want to be the choice for those voters to vote for those Conservative values.
It's great that Jeremy is running as an independent, but frankly, to me, it doesn't matter. We will go to every door we can. We'll get our message across to as many people as we can.
We are the second party when it comes to the council. We are the official opposition. We came second in the council and the assembly elections. People really want to see us standing here. We have a strong base.
Jeremy Corbyn's supporters today included the comedian Rob Delaney.
It's a pleasure to support his campaign and a privilege. Vote Corbyn!
But you can't vote for him?
No, that is correct. I cannot. I live in Islington South, full disclosure, so I can't vote for him.
But Corbyn guaranteed himself one vote today. He signed a portrait by a local artist who promptly put it up for sale. Simon Harris, ITV News, Islington.
Good evening. He has never forgotten the events of D-Day ever since his role in helping Allied forces end the war in Europe 300 miles away on the shores of Normandy. But today may be the last time 99-year-old veteran Joe Mines from Hornchurch will attend commemorative events in person. His story captivated audiences from around the world as it was read out by actor Martin Freeman. It was so poignant, the crowds and the Queen were moved to tears. Back here in the capital, there were other emotional services too for the veterans who couldn't travel to France today. With all the day's events, here's our correspondent, Simon Harris.
From one D-Day veteran, the noisiest of salutes. When HMS Belfast fired her guns at lunchtime, the shells were blanks, but 80 years ago, they were for real. At home in Chiswick, 100-year-old Pat Outram has crystal clear memories of June the 6th, 1944.
One of my run colleagues at the station we were based at, rushing into our room saying, it started. And she was really excited because her fiancé was a prisoner of war. She said, they're going to get him out. They're going to get him out.
Pat was a linguist, eavesdropping on German radio transmissions and passing on information to codebreakers at the top-secret Station X, Bletchley Park in Buckinghamshire.
I feel extremely privileged in a sort of way that I could contribute to D-Day, and I think I did, knowing German and being able to relay their messages.
A few weeks ago, Pat returned to Normandy to visit the new British memorial at Vers-sur-Mer. And it was there today the King led the 80th anniversary commemoration, recalling the words of his grandfather, George VI.
How fortunate we were, and the entire free world, that a generation of men and women in the United Kingdom and other allied nations did not flinch when the moment came to face that test.
Among them, Joe Mines from Hornchurch in Essex, who landed on the beaches as a 19-year-old. His story was told by the actor Martin Freeman.
Back when I signed up, I met a fella on the train. I went to Normandy with him, but he got killed within about an hour of landing here. He was only young. I was 19 when I landed, but I was still a boy. I don't care what people say, I wasn't a man, I was a boy, and I didn't have any idea of war and killing. I was lucky. Yeah, I had lots and lots of luck. So why would I come back? Well, this is the last and only opportunity for me. The last there will ever be. And it's because of the lads. I want to pay my respects to those who didn't make it. May they rest in peace.
In London, hundreds of people lined the banks to hear the guns of HMS Belfast.
Its role was to neutralise the big guns which lay behind the beach so that they couldn't fire on the troops as they landed.
Pat Outram eventually wrote a book about her wartime activities with her sister Jean, also a linguist.
You know, I did help to win the war, so why not be pleased about it?
Today, Pat wears her medals with pride, including the Légion d'honneur, France's top military award. Simon Harris, ITV News, Chiswick.